Hello and welcome to Money Mindshift Mastery Training. So I'm streaming from StreamYard, and sometimes it takes a minute or two to go live, but I'm assuming I am live right now. And so thank you for taking the time for being with us today. This is great. Okay, a couple of things just in terms of housekeeping items. So before we get started. So again, thank you for joining me and investing in your financial well-being. I also have my assistant with me. She'll be in the background, LJ, and monitoring the chat for me, because in terms of we're streaming to LinkedIn and we're streaming to Facebook, and we're also streaming on YouTube in a private group there. So the problem is with LinkedIn, it vibrates and comes back because there's a delay. So I can't physically be in there. So I'm asking you to give StreamYard permission to share your name. And that way I can see if you make a comment in whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube or LinkedIn, I'm trying to think, then, we can see that and respond to that, because certainly I want this event to be interactive. So I would love if you can say hello today. That would be great. And tell us where you're calling from. And I apologize, if you see me diverting my eyes from the camera, it's because I'm looking in the chat. So again, for the ladies who are in the event on LinkedIn, the link for StreamYard has been shared. So please hit that so you can access all this great information that we are going to share with you today. So again, say hello, let us know who's here, so I know I'm not talking to myself. That would be great. Okay, so I wanted to just let everybody know that we do have something special for you at the end of today's training. So we have a nice little freebie gift for you. So make sure you stay till the end so you can hear the offer and receive the freebie gift. So I'm going to wait just a few minutes, just because I know people, sometimes it takes a while for people to come on. And hello, Jessica, Nicole, thanks for joining us today. LJ just shared that with me, but if you wouldn't mind sharing or giving StreamYard permission to show your name, then I can see you in the comments. So that would be great. Okay, so I am just going to put my little timer on here because I do want to respect everybody's time. And I did say this would be for an hour today. And let me just set my timer. So I have a tendency to lose track of time as well sometimes. Okay, again, for those of you who may have just popped on, I am streaming from StreamYard, and I encourage you to give StreamYard permission to share your name so I can see if you make a comment, because otherwise I'm not in LinkedIn or the other platforms that we're streaming to, so I won't see the comments, and we want this to be interactive. So welcome to the Money Mindshift Mastery Training. So this is something that I'm really passionate about. So money is so much more than currency, right? And money is, well, it's a matter of belief and behaviors, which are fraught with, emotions such as shame, fear, pride, control, and so much more. And our money relationship sways our decisions about, our job and our income. And it also influences how we handle our finances in our relationships. So I like to sum it up as, money represents much more than a tool for life. Obviously, Maslow's hierarchy, we have to meet our basic needs, pay our rent or our mortgage, feed ourselves and clothe ourselves. But the meaning of money, as I like to say, it's a mindset matter because it does revolve around all these emotions and beliefs that we have. And our beliefs drive our behavior, which create the results that we have with money. So, did you know that 85% of women are the CFOs of their family households? And they're making most of the day-to-day purchases and budgeting decisions. But statistics are showing that they still feel uncomfortable discussing financial matters. Did you know that more women than men say money is their number one source of stress? And the APA, the American Psychological Association, indicates money is the number one source of stress for women. And did you know that the area where women fall behind the most when it comes to money literacy is the knowledge and confidence to maximize earnings and investment power? And this potentially can lead to 80% of women being impoverished in retirement. So this is really, really important, why we need to have these discussions around money and start to look in terms of, what we can do to kind of increase our financial potential, right? Because finance success actually starts with your money mindset. And as I'd mentioned, our beliefs and money blocks, as I like to refer to them, or our negative money blocks or our unconscious barriers, can cause us to shrink our perspective, whether it be about life or work in a silo or not make the best decisions. So it's the things behind the scenes actually that diminish our competence and our ability to thrive. And, no matter how much money you have, we all have money blocks that show up in one way or another. And this includes myself. I continue to work on money blocks that surface for different life events that occur. So no one is immune to this. But what I'm here to tell you is that there is a workaround. And that's what I'm going to share with you today, right? How can you shift your mindset and start winning with wealth so you can, create more wealth for yourself and in turn, create well-being also. So my formula is, I refer to it as mindset plus behavior equals financial success. And I like to refer to this as the money belief formula. So I'm just going to go on to our next slide here. So I wanted to just share a little bit about me. So for those of you who don't know me, so, I'm Sue Diamond, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Her Finance Club. And I'm also a money mindset mentor and coach, and I'm a speaker and author, and consider myself to be a social change agent. So you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm actually from across the pond. I'm from the UK, Liverpool, and I've been living in New York for 30 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. And I'm married and with an amazing daughter, which is, something to say about all our children, right? And I live now 70 miles north of New York City. So fast forward, as I said, I consider myself to be a social change agent, and I'm really passionate about women's economic empowerment. I also consider myself to be a lover of philosophy, human behavior, especially when it comes to money and, achieving big goals. And you, of course, yes, you, I love as much as anything to help women uncover and release those unconscious barriers or money blocks or negative beliefs that keep them from reaching their full financial potential, that are keeping you stuck because you need to be able to experience true money empowerment. So that's what I do as a money mindset mentor and coach. So I entered the financial field not as an economist or a financial planner, but as a social worker who was interested in attitudes and emotional reactions to money, and specifically the gender of money. So what I found was, as I paid more attention to this area, I began to discover that many friends and colleagues, even as they became more successful, they weren't talking about money or their financial wellness enough. So fast forward, I, established the Her Finance Club last year after leaving, the finance industry and seeing some of the real life impacts of how relationships with money, can wreak havoc on women emotionally and be a source of pressure and huge stress. And what I found while I was working in the industry was that no one was really talking about this. And worse than that was that, many women were afraid to talk to each other about money. They were afraid to ask questions about financial products that they didn't understand. And they often felt guilt or fear or embarrassment, sometimes overwhelm and shame around this. And of course, what happens, when we experience these types of emotions, we don't feel great, right? So we're going to ignore them. So we're not experiencing that. And I always like to share, I still, can't fathom this myself, but, a therapist once wrote, money questions will be treated by cultured people in the same manner as sexual matters, with the same inconsistency, prudishness, and hypocrisy. Now, that was more than a century ago. And the therapist was Sigmund Freud, which I'm sure everybody's heard about. So more than a century later, most of us have learned to talk, right, more easily about sex, but we still remain elusive, embarrassed, and conflicted about certain aspects of our own money stories. So part of the problem for women is, unlike men, money talk does not typically happen in our inner circle of friends because it's still considered a social taboo. So the money taboo keeps us ignorant of better habits, practices, and our perspectives. And it can also keep us at the lower end of the pay gap. And you know what? Guess who had this seasoned wisdom? When we don't speak of something, we make it more powerful, right? And that was Harry Potter. So I'm sure everybody's seen Harry Potter. Gosh, I'm just getting a note, I'm still not going live on Facebook. I'm just gonna, redirect to LJ. Did you check on the page if I'm streaming there? Oh, it's okay now. All right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody has access to us today. So again, if I'm streaming, just as a reminder, I'm streaming through StreamYard. So please give permission to StreamYard to show your name so we can actually see your comments up here in StreamYard. Otherwise, I'm not on the physical platforms and I can't see the comments. So I was just explaining that part of the problem for women, unlike men, is money talk still continues to be a taboo for us. So part of my mission here, I shared earlier, I'm passionate about women's economic empowerment, and I am on a mission to socialize, the idea that it's okay for women to talk about money because knowledge is power. And when that knowledge helps you become more independent, it translates to empowerment. So my goal is to inspire 1 million women to start the money conversation with their spouse, friends, children, or colleagues, so you can become more connected with your money. Because the bottom line is, the more you talk about money, the more you can open doors, not just for yourself, but you can also open it for others to do the same. Now, I've spent the last several years researching the kinds of challenges women face, around relationships with money. And what I do know is that if you don't address your core beliefs about money, you won't be able to get the wealth that you desire. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm just going to move to the next slide here. Understanding your relationship with money. Well, this is a key factor. And one of the things that I want to talk about is why do we need to understand our relationship with money? Because as women, we have a very different relationship to finances, money, and investing than men do, because we often have different experiences with it. So as women, we tend to, view our money, it's not just a means to an end, but it's a tool for us to improve lives, our family's life, build communities, and create the life that we want to live, right? Now, the problem with that is there's a couple of different problems. So the financial ceiling is still a very real issue for many women today in society. And there are a number of obstacles that are unique to us. The most obvious ones, which I'm sure you're aware of, is the gender pay gap. That's the most obvious one. It's 82 cents to the dollar for white women compared to males. And it's even less for women of color and Hispanic women. So we've got that. So over a lifetime, that mounts up. We have a longer end game. So we know that the 20th century has added 30 years to retirement. So, when we look at retirement now, if we're thinking about 65, well, we could potentially be living into our 90s. So that's 30 years, right? That we need to be able to support ourselves. But on top of that, in terms of women, and if they share their financial lives with a male counterpart, the median statistic is that women are outliving their male counterpart anywhere from 5 to 8 years. And of course, what comes along with that is, it's great to live to a grand old age, but chronic disease and disability also comes into the picture. So we have to think about this. We have greater debt. It's good debt, but we have greater debt based on the fact that more women are going to college and graduating from college than men are. So we have student loans. And of course, historically, we put less money away. Outside of the fact that we're, earning less, we generally put less money away in terms of investing. And then, of course, we have the pink tax. And if you're not familiar with the pink tax, that's, personal hygiene items and clothing. So for women, it's just over 15% compared to men, just under 12%. And it's, you're paying if you're buying the razor blade that's pink because it's a different color, you're paying extra money for that. So just so you know that. So if you start thinking about that right now, you could save money straight away. But on top of, these obstacles, that are unique to us, we have our own personal limitations that hinder us from reaching the potential of what could be. And that's what ties into, as I've referred earlier, our negative money beliefs or our unconscious barriers or money blocks. So I always like to share, is anybody familiar? Do any of these sound familiar to you in terms of thoughts, right? So anything extra I have, I give to my kids or loved ones. They deserve it more than I do. Or I don't like spending money on myself, or I don't feel worthy unless I'm doing things for other people. So, that ties into, and please share in, the comments, how many of you prioritize the needs of others over your own? Just put me. Just write in the comments me, that you prioritize your needs over other people's. Do we have anybody? Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you, Jessica. I'm like, so there we go. Jessica, yes. Don't mean to put you on the spot there. Okay. But this is I want to share with you that you are not alone when you think this way. I mean, one of the things that I say all the time is that, we need to put our oxygen mask on first before helping others. And, for everybody who's been on an airplane, we hear that all the time, right? So these are all symptoms of, the money block, putting other people before ourselves. And taking care of others starts by taking care of yourself so you can be the best version of yourself. Okay. So what about, I talked about the money taboo, but, I do you still think that money is a taboo? Do you find yourself staying quiet during conversations about money because you're not sure what to say, or you find it hard to open up about money with your partner because you both think differently about money? So this is, tied into the money block in terms of the money taboo. And it goes back to me thinking, staying silent about money just contributes to those lower salaries for women in the workplace and contributes to that common myth, right? That women are not as good at money as men are. So these are just two examples of money blocks. The other thing is that I'll just mention this one, the uncertainty and paralysis when it comes to decision making, because I think that's something that ties many of us up. And examples of that would be, retirement is a long way off. I don't need to worry about it right now, or I know I need to make changes, but I don't know where to start, or I feel overwhelmed when I think about my finances, or those are just a few of them. So, unfortunately, most women, whether we are single, partnered, divorced, widowed, retired, or still working, we face these internal barriers, these money blocks, these negative beliefs that, make us feel overwhelmed and unsure and, prevent us from making decisions in many situations. And what's key here is that we often don't realize that we're financially stuck. We don't know it, okay? Because in terms of neuroscience, what I'm going to talk a little bit about in a minute, we talk about like 95% of the decisions that we make through without being conscious of it. It's based on these subconscious beliefs that we have. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But I think the other thing that ties into this as well is, a lot of our experiences, our beliefs come from experiences, right? Societal pressures, childhood, family situations, aka what I like to refer to as our money story. And, society's concept of how people are expected to look and behave. You know, we have these societal norms that are created for men and women, these gender role socializations, which begin at birth. And here in the US, you know, for centuries and, you know, most of the Western culture, you know, the female role was that of a housewife and a caretaker, and the male was responsible, you know, for working and taking care of the household and managing the money. So things in our culture, you know, we'd hear things, especially, you know, for my age group, I'm just keeping track of the time here, is that, you know, girls weren't good at math and you were encouraged to take home economic classes and, you know, learn to cook and sew and things of that nature. So you were already being told what your role was for you before you even left school. So no wonder, you know, we have, you know, all these negative beliefs. And then, of course, I don't know if you know this, but this was unbelievable. You know, women could not get a business loan without their husband co-signing until the 90s. For goodness sake, Friends was on the TV. Friends is still on the TV. My daughter watches Friends, my 20-year-old daughter. So, you know, it's really important that, you know, we understand financial success as a result of many factors, you know, including our personal limitations that tie into these unconscious barriers. So, you know, our money mindset is the foundation, and it's critical in terms of creating wealth and financial success. No one ever achieves ultimate financial success without first working on their relationship with money, no matter how good their money system and wealth growth knowledge. So building that solid foundation, you know, involves developing a better relationship with our money. And as I mentioned before, it's about understanding our money story. So, you know, when we talk about building a house, right? You know, in order for a house to stand time, it needs a foundation. And in order to build the foundation, you have to do some excavating, right? Well, it's the same thing with our money mindset. Okay. So sorry, I'm just checking the comments there. Okay. So when we understand our relationship with money and how it plays a unique role in our well-being and our life, you know, then things will get better. You'll become more empowered because you will control your money and not the other way around. Okay. So just this, I like to share this of this story of one particular client, you know, and when I first met her, her response to me was, I'm a scaredy cat when it comes to dealing with money. I feel so overwhelmed and anxious doing anything beyond saving it. And she referenced some guy at Voya does something with my money, but I couldn't tell you what. I know I should learn more about my money. I should be more involved in the planning of my retirement and investments. I'm so bad, I can't even get myself to read the statements. I just turn them up and assume it's going well. I wish they wouldn't even send me the statement. So, you know, this is a very smart lady who earns a lot of money. But when we ignore and avoid our money, then you give away your financial power. And giving away your financial power leads to emotional and financial instability. So I have a quick little exercise here that I'd like to show, because again, you know, we're streaming through StreamYard and I want to make sure this is interactive. So please, you know, show your comments. If you just joined us, let us know where you're joining us from so we can say hi. So I'm going to ask you to check and notice what happens as I ask or I make this statement. We are now going to take time to start talking about your finances. We're now going to take time to start talking about your finances. Now, I want you to notice kind of your body's response to that statement. What do you feel as I say that? We are now going to take time to start talking about your finances. And I know this can be kind of difficult, a difficult exercise to dive into, but I just wanted to give you a little sense of it so you can take some time later and just to notice how you feel about your finances. So the statement leads us straight to the first emotion that I usually see and that we usually find when working with our finances. So can anyone guess what the first emotion is? Share in the comments. What emotion did you experience when I said that? So, okay. Worry, anxiety, fear, nervous. Okay. So what I get from most people when they first come, to have a discussion, 99% of the time, it's fear. And what I'm here to tell you is this is actually good news, believe it or not, because the thing with fear is we can usually count on it to be there, particularly with our finances. And fear is a great reminder because fear says to us, hey, you feel fear, don't forget your emotions. So when this happens, our rational minds get pushed aside and our emotions tend to dominate. So it's not like we can think our way out of the anxiety because our thoughts tend to feed the anxiety. So it's easy, for our mind to lead us from being fearful about the possibility of, within a matter of seconds, losing our job, to not being able to pay the mortgage, to being homeless, to almost certain death, all in a few seconds. But this is our brain's fight or flight response to fear. And this was super useful when we evolved out of the cave, when we were worried about walking around the corner and getting eaten by a lion, and less useful today. But instead, we're worried about jobs and relationships. And generally, it's the, flight with finance because we tend to shut down. So what I want you to do is the opposite. So do this later. I want you to sit with it. So in this case, what would you do? What do you notice? So whether it's you're checking in on how you feel when engaging with, I don't know, looking at your checkbook. Does it cause your heart to race or does it make you feel nauseous? Do you find yourself comparing your financial situation to that of others? How do you feel when this happens? Where in your body do you feel this? So, make space for that and breathe into it, right? And learn about it. Learn about how your body is physically responding to some of these emotions, okay? And the good news is, and I know this is hard, but if you can stay with it for about 2 minutes and notice what you say to yourself about money, what you're afraid of. For example, you're telling yourself, I can't do this. You never learned about personal finance. You're not good with numbers. And listen to what you're saying and then ask yourself, what is the most important step I can take? What is the most important proactive step can I take forward? So by identifying what you can control, or what you have control over, your brain shifts out of this reactionary mode into problem solving. So then the switch is instrumental because it enables you to feel powerful rather than helpless. Okay, so knowing how and where the fear shows up in your body alerts us to stress as well. So that will help reduce anxiety. And you can actually elicit the help of your emotions for some guidance, to make a list of what scares you about finances. And, that's your top priority, because most of us are not controlling what we think. And that goes back to the neuroscience piece. When we're in touch with ourselves, we begin to see our reactions for what they are, that they're fear-based, and recognize that they're not permanent and they will pass. So our beliefs and our emotions hitchhike on our money story. And that's what creates these money blocks and our self-sabotaging behavior. So, bearing all that good stuff in mind, I'm just trying to keep an eye on the time. So, as women, we can shape the 21st century by accepting the power and responsibility associated with money, right? And we want this for our daughters and our granddaughters and other young women so they can overcome the obstacles that are unique to women. I want my glass ceiling to be my daughter's and other young women's floor. But it all starts with our money mindset. So, when I talk about money mindset, I briefly mentioned, money story. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about that in terms of our money story. So money speaks, I'm not going to read the slide, but this your money mindset right now? It's a checklist. So money speaks two languages. It speaks the language of basic math, which is addition and subtraction. You have it, you utilize it, you make it, and you save it. Okay, right? And then, I'm sorry, I'm just checking the comments here. And then the second component to money language is there's also the secret language of money, right? And that's our habits and our patterns of employing money to manage our moods and self-esteem, as well as it's used as a tool for control and competition. So money is layered with so many connotations that frequently conflict with one another. So the most significant thing that I've learned, which I mentioned earlier, is that our belief system drives all our financial decision making. And that's what creates the results that we have with money. And I know, again, you might be thinking, yeah, all right, I don't like, to think about money management because it's difficult for me. I find it perplexing and stressful. Or, you think that you're okay with money and you brush it under the rug. We have some avoidance behaviors, or you tell yourself you don't have to worry about money because your spouse, handles everything. And I'm also willing to bet, if you experience, because this is what we refer to as a scarcity mindset. So if you're experiencing a scarcity mindset, then yeah, I'm willing to bet, you're saying to yourself, if I had more money, my financial life wouldn't, I wouldn't have a problem, or I work hard, so I deserve that new pair of shoes, or I'll never be able to pay off my debt, or I can't I can't earn enough to get ahead, or, I'm spending money on things for yourself, might make you feel selfish. I get it. I understand it, why you might think or feel this way. Many of us get caught up on what our mind tells us about money, and our belief that we're not capable prevents us from achieving, our full financial potential, achieving financial success. And the relationship with money is about how we feel about ourselves and about ourselves, which again, as I'd mentioned, determines our financial circumstance. So we've already established, money can elicit all these different feelings, whether it be shame, pride, stress, and more. And more often these feelings stem from our, childhood, which is our money story. So in terms of our money story, as you can see from my little slide here, everyone has a money story. And your past money story holds the secrets to your future financial well-being. And I ask you, how well do you know yours? Do you know your money story? And your money story begins at birth, and, it unfolds during the course of, the months, years, and into adulthood. And it's your personal narrative about money that makes up your beliefs, thoughts, and feelings about money. So today, I think it's important for you to understand that, who you are today is the outcome of your past choices. And it's about really, are you thinking of your life as a story? So the more connected you are to your money story, the more financially healthy you will become, because having an understanding of that is going to increase your awareness in terms of why you have certain beliefs, and heighten your awareness to the behaviors that you have. And when we heighten our awareness to this puts us in a position where we can start to look at how can we change this, because I believe everybody is the author of their money story. And, if you're experiencing emotions and having behaviors that create negative results for you in terms of money, then you can actually rewrite your money story, right? So in terms of your money story, it's typically formed by the time you're 8 or 9 years of age. And it's based on messaging that you received when you were growing up. So what money messages did you receive? Were they positive or were they negative? Were they observed or were they taught? Did you learn about money through disappointment or success? So, even if the adults in your life didn't openly discuss money as you were growing up, you still picked up on how it was handled in your family. Whether your parents argued about money, or was there a feeling of tension around paying bills? Maybe there was a traumatic event like a job loss or a death or a divorce, or perhaps, it was things such as extreme frugality or spending. All these experiences combined form your money story and create your money mindset. So it doesn't matter if these messages were consciously or subconsciously learned. Those lessons laid the foundation for your current beliefs on money as an adult, and they're still driving your day-to-day interactions with your relationship with money. So again, if you're still thinking, well, why does knowing my money story matter? Especially, if your money story gave you all the tools that you need to be successful with your finances. But, in many instances, I find that there's often people come away with a negative perception that has stunted some aspect of their financial success. But either way, it's important to understand how it affects your finances right now, right? So let me just move to the next slide so people know what I'm talking about. So we know money represents much more than a tool for life. It's easy to give money, a lot of power in your life. Your money story can affect your finances much more than we realize. So it might affect you when you're trying to decide how much to spend on a car. It can determine whether you buy a house, right? And how much you spend. It sways decisions about your job and income. And it also influences how you handle finances in your relationships, because everybody has their own unique money story. So it's a challenge to understand our own. But then if you're in a relationship with somebody else, you got to figure out how, the two of you are going to work on your finances when you both have different money stories. So an example would be in terms of the messaging. Let's say you experienced trauma or unhappiness as a child, and this unhappiness stemmed from your parents fighting about finances. And the story that you may have picked up was that lack of money was a problem in your family. And in your child's mind, you infer that if your family only had more money, the difficulties and unhappiness would go away. So in an attempt to avoid that same problem in your adult life, Maybe you strive to accumulate more and more cash, or you seek to, or I should say, seek complete control over the finances in your relationship. Or perhaps you go in the opposite direction and just don't want to deal with money since it's a source of pain from your past. So for many, a scarcity mindset about money or a feeling that there is never enough is very, very common. You know, I have had clients when I worked in the financial industry who would never run out of money in 10 lifetimes and still worried about running out of money. So when we think about, you know, oh, I'm losing track here. So think about, you know, paying your bills, right? Or owning a home, or buying a car, and work and income, and any other money related decision. You know, how do you think your financial script has affected these decisions? And the key here is healing our relationship with our money enables us to establish healthy money habits, which will lead to improved financial circumstances. So I'm just going to move along here because we're getting close to the hour. So what's important here, and what I want you to take away from this, is that it takes just as much energy to create any belief, whether it's positive or negative. So, and the belief of scarcity, you know, takes just as much energy as the belief of abundance. So you generate the energy and give power to your story, right? So simple math says that we use our attention to focus on what we don't have. And what this does is it depletes our energy in terms of engaging on what we do have. So neuroscience and quantum mechanics tells us that we get what we focus on. So if we're focusing on, you know, a scarcity mindset, then that's what we're going to get. Now, remember, you're not the subject of the process, right? As I'd said, you know, you're the author of your money story. You're the creator. And what you do, okay, in terms of, and what do you think the results are? Okay. So if you have this scarcity mindset and you're telling yourself you're never going to have enough money, or you're never going to earn enough money, or you have this fear that you're going to run out of money, then all your energy is going in that direction, right? And when we focus on that component, then, you know, what happens is the results that are created from that are those feelings and emotions that, you know, tie into fear and anger and confusion and annoyance and guilt and grief. So you have to decide specifically what you want. And the thing is, the primary reason people don't get what they want is they're not quite sure what they want. So here's another neuroscience law of attraction question. And it's, how does the brain work like a travel agent? All right. And the first two questions a travel agent asks you are, where do you want to go? And when do you want to get there? So a goal is like a map quest. You know, you're programming where you want to go, and you're making a map, and then you're getting the time destination. Now, the caveat to this is, you know, to know what not to do can be at least as important in knowing what to do, right? So we may not always know what the next best thing is, but we can almost always know what the next best thing isn't, right? So additionally, you know, when you resist, you draw toward that. And resistance, it's an engagement. And I like to, well, not many people will know this term, unless you're in neuroscience or psychology or social work. It's a catharsis. And that's, an investment of energy, psychic energy, right? So again, I go back to it saying, anger is as passionate an attachment as love is. So if you find yourself resisting change, that means it's already occurred. So I want you to consider this. Most suffering is the result of resisting what already is. So people resist going to the doctor, but they're not afraid of the doctor. They're afraid of the denial that they may be confronted with. So the number one thing to work on, and if you don't work on this, you will continue to have many struggles, is when we talk about neuroscience. I'd mentioned earlier, they found that 90 to 95% of our decision making is unconscious. And this means that the beliefs and patterns in our unconscious mind determine what we want to do next. So the challenge here is, how can we make our stories fully conscious to understand and change the way the mind and the brain work, and our relationship with money, especially because we already know it's complicated. We know aspects of it are emotional, and now you know that it's even unconscious, right? So I want to talk a little bit. I'm gonna have to jump the next slide and tell you a little bit about the program in terms of Money Mindshift Mastery. So everything that I've talked about today, of course, we know the real magic happens when you apply these steps, right? And of course, there's lots of free stuff out there. There's no end of what we can access, right, on the internet. But if we're in a place where we're not having the results that we want, then certainly we're having a challenge moving forward, right? So here's what I would like to do for you. I've developed the Money Mindshift Mastery Program because the negative subconscious money beliefs prevent us from achieving, our conscious dreams, wishes, and goals. And for women, as I'd mentioned earlier, I'm really passionate about women's economic empowerment. And if we're going to overcome all those unique obstacles, such as the gender pay gap and, not or avoiding being the bag lady on the street when we reach retirement, then it's really important for us to be able to move forward when it comes to our mindset. So my formula includes like a 3-phase approach, or I like to say, a 3-step foundation. And what we're going to do here is, the first step is that we're going to do an anatomy of your money story. And what does that mean when I talk about an anatomy? It's diving deep into the money beliefs and assumptions that were formed in your childhood to understand where they came from and how they have influenced your money habits. And I love doing this, and you'll learn so much. This isn't just about your money story. This mastery will impact all aspects of your life for the better. So then once we've, done the anatomy of the money story, then we're in a place where we can start to ignite change, right? And this is a journey into the neuroscience part, that will result in long-term transformation by reprogramming your responses to some of your triggers that will help create a new money story and help you undergo a money mind shift. So we're going to reprogram your mind and rewire your brain. Doesn't that sound fabulous? And then when we have those 2 core pieces of the foundation completed, that's when we can start to create your wealth plan. that's when you can start, to master your new money mindset. You'll be able to visualize your future and your big wealth goals, and you'll be able to complete them with a step-by-step plan, okay, for achieving your best life. So here's what I'd like you to here's what I'd like to do for you. I want you to set up a call with me. So you can set this up so we can see if this program is a fit for you. I truly believe that regardless of where you are on your journey in terms of reaching your full financial potential, there is some aspect of this that can help you achieve greater financial success. So put it in the chat. Let us know, because I want LJ to be able to share a link with you. So put me in to schedule a call with me so you can learn a little more about this, because this is something that will change your life. This is why I do this. I am so passionate about this. And when I worked in New York City on the estate and financial team, 80% of the women that I met with wanted to plan but couldn't move forward to the next step because of money blocks or unconscious barriers, and then sometimes that they weren't even aware that they had. So, if anything, schedule a call with me so you can learn more about this. You'll benefit from it in so many ways. You'll start feeling so stressed about money. Remember it said, that's the APA say the number one source of stress for women is money. So you can stop feeling so stressed. You work really hard, but if you seem to stay at the same financial place no matter what, then this is for you to learn more about this, because there's an unconscious barrier preventing you from moving forward. If you want to create new money results from your future instead of repeating the past, you want to identify where your unconscious barriers are. This program will help you do that. You want to create a money philosophy that leads to real change. This is what this program is about and will help you move forward. You see other people getting results with money and you want that for your life. Then schedule a call so we can see where you fit into all of this and help you release those money blocks so you can live the life that you deserve. It's like this is about making a massive shift in your money mindset. This is how you are going to get more empowered. And this is how you are going to be able to take control of your money and your life. So schedule now, put me in the chat, and LJ will message you the link for setting up a call. Don't let your money story hitchhikers, beliefs, and emotions sabotage your behavior and prevent you from scheduling a call. Oh, are you saying to yourself, yeah, I'll do this later, or I've got plenty of time to think about this. I don't have time, or I'm not interested, or I'm so tired that I'm so overwhelmed. There's no more left of me. And a lot of that happens because of what we're actually saying in the space of our mind. A lot of it is our autopilot programming. So, when we're in this state of mind, what happens is we actually burn up a lot of our energy thinking instead of being able to work through things. And it's preventing many women from money empowerment and discovering what money can actually do for them. So you must shift your attitude toward money if you hope to see long-term improvements in your financial status. Again, there's a lot of information out there that we can access, but, it gives us the or it'll identify, how to improve your financial condition, do X, Y, and Z. So, for example, if you're trying to get out of debt, the most obvious step would be to put a budget in place that aligns with paying off your debt. But the reality is, this is merely a band-aid for the real problem. It's not a cure. We need to figure out what's triggering the spending, right? And then when you alter your money belief, you shift your mind, you cure the problem, and you take the proper action because you have the right belief. Remember, most of us, I think I tied a little bit of this earlier. Most suffering is the result of resisting what is already there, right? We're afraid the denial is going to be confronted. So put me in the chat to schedule a time to chat with me so we can figure out what barriers are holding you back from achieving your full financial potential. Imagine, what if your money story were one of abundance and not scarcity? What would you be able to do for yourself and others? How much more secure would you feel in all areas of your life? You don't have to imagine it because you have the choice of whether you take control of your financial success. If you want to stop feeling stressed about money, if you want to make more money in your business, if you want to generate more money, as a professional in your career, if you want to create a money philosophy that leads to real change, now is the time to decide what role you want to play in your own destiny. Now is the time to act. You're entitled to a better life, right? So put me in the comments so we can schedule a chat. The question is, how are you going to get this done if you want to have a better life? In the end, will you live with the realization that you're going to stay stuck and potentially be part of, the statistic of 80% of women will be on the poverty line in retirement? Or instead, might you consider setting up a different course for yourself by undergoing a money mind shift? Either way, schedule a call or schedule a time to chat with me so we can identify how you can move forward. So put me in the comments and LJ then can message you a link. Don't allow, after what I've shared with you today, your money hitchhikers or your denial to hold you back. The past is gone, but you still have to plan and prepare for the future. If you want to assure that your future will be happier, more secure, and more fulfilling, then take the gift that is today, present, and put it to work for you. We are capable of any transformation we desire. It's up to us, but sometimes we need guidance and support. And that's the other thing as women. We don't ask for help. We're busy helping everybody else, but we don't ask for help ourselves. And that's okay to ask for help. That's why I'm here. So I'm just going to share, the last thing I'm going to share with you is, Carla Harris said, when you're faced with a risk and you're not sure if you should go for it, ask yourself 3 questions. So if you're, facing some denial here and you're feeling this is a risk, to even have a chat, I want you to ask yourself, will this new thing, this mind shift, give you the skills and experiences that you would not get if you stayed in your current place another 12 months? The second question is, will this new mind shift, money mind shift, expose you to relationships and networks that you would not get if you stayed in your current place another 12 months? And the third question is, will this new thing, this money mind shift, create new branches on a personal decision tree of opportunity you could go off and do some other things that you wouldn't have been able to do if you stayed in your current place another 12 months? If the answer to all three of these questions is yes, you absolutely need to take the risk and schedule a chat so we can delve into some of the barriers that might be holding you back. It will change your life. So I'm just looking in comments. From Laura, yes, I learned helplessness from my mum, who is now a different person, yet I'm being confronted to drive my own mind now. Absolutely. Schedule a chat, Laura. You've got nothing to lose here. And, we can delve into how you can undergo a money mind shift that will transform you long term. So I want to get to our freebie because I'd mentioned to everybody earlier that, if you stay the whole and listen to me through the whole session, I wanted to share something with you. And it'll give you a little bit of a head start here. So I'm excited to share, the first chapter of my book, which is the money belief formula: mindset plus behavior equals financial success. Transform your habits and win with wealth. And this will expand on what I have been talking to today. And the nice thing with the book is it's got exercises at the end of every chapter so you can practice what you've read. And it's a nice introduction to what I'm talking about today. So if you want, let us know in the comments, put book if you would like to get into the first chapter. And I'll also, if you want the book, then, we'll send you the link to where you can access that. And, the money belief formula is, it provides a critical strategy to understanding what I'm talking about today by helping you examine money beliefs and behaviors. And what it's all about is, it's helping translate money meanings, which will allow you to start making that mental shift or thinking about, a shift toward an abundant mindset by implementing the money belief formula. It's also out on audiobook as well. So couple of things. It's the ebook's still on sale at $2.99. The paperback's available, and the audiobook was just recently released. So whatever your starting point, whether you're aiming for $1 million or not, you'll come to realize that the only thing standing in your way is your current and past beliefs about money. So again, I encourage you, put chat in the comments, okay? And LJ will send you a link so you can schedule a time for us to delve into the Money Mindshift Foundation, okay? So if we don't have any more questions for today, I know I ran a little bit over, but yes, okay. Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time to invest in your financial well-being, and I look forward to chatting with you and helping you undergo a money mind shift. All right. Thanks again, everybody. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.